chose to make my paper about Henrik Ibsen's A Doll House. A Doll's House takes place in a house in Norway during the Victorian era and follows the awakening of Nora Helmer from her seemingly perfect life of domestic luxury. Nora Helmer secretly borrowed a large amount of money so that she could save her husband from illness. She never let her husband become aware of the loan while she has been secretly paying it back in small amounts by saving from her allowance. Her husband, Torvald Helmer, thinks of her as careless and childlike and regularly calls her his doll. When a long-lost childhood friend, Christine Lind, visits Nora, Nora shares her secret to her and asks her husband for a job for her friend. With a new promotion of bank manager, Helmer hires her and relieves one of his employees, Nils Krogstad, who was once looked down upon for having forged names on documents. This man is the person whom Nora borrowed a large amount of money from. Then it is revealed that she forged her father's signature to obtain the money, and Krogstad threatens to expose Nora's crime and in turn disgrace the name of her and her husband unless Nora can convince Helmer not to let him go from the bank. Nora tries to convince her husband to no avail as he sees her as simple-minded and someone who is unable to understand how business works. Therefore, when Torvald finds out that Nora committed forgery and that they were in a position to be disgraced, he is willing to deny his wife, even though she had done it out of love for him. However, when all is resolved, he tries to take it back, but Nora realizes that their love was not what she believed it was, and leaves him to discover herself. The main theme is the stereotype Nora was made to look like, a doll played and taken care of by her husband, finally breaking free from her label, and striving to become a self-thinking being. While researching for helpful information towards my production of A Doll's House, I found an article relating to Henrik Ibsen's stance on female empowerment. In two of his most famous productions, he caused a lot of controversy over the messages plays sent out because they focused on the role of middle-class women in ways that weren't accepted in their Victorian era. One source states, they shocked their Victorian era viewers with criticisms of traditional gender roles and the holy covenant of marriage. Although he had no hesitance discrediting gender roles and stereotypes, his public stance on the feminist movement was that he had no involvement. During a festival for the Women's Rights League, he gave a speech where he stated, I thank you for the toast, but must disclaim the honor of having consciously worked for the women's rights movement. I'm not even quite clear as to just what this women's rights movement really is. To me, it has seemed a problem of humanity in general. It could seem as if he is being modest, but these words are still challenging for the ideals that people in that era upheld. Henrik Ibsen is considered a founder for modernism in theater, so his treatment to this women question is logical, and he was unafraid to express his ideas in a time where these new ideas were susceptible to harsh criticism. Producing this play will give me a chance to show how far we have come as a community and how much more we are able to achieve. It will show to people how this stereotype of a spoiled wife can easily be lifted when realizing who the actual person is and realizing that women are more than their marriage. For the costume design, I would choose to dress them culturally correct with their typical Norway clothing and also according to Victorian era that they were living in. I would dress the actors modestly because it was common during that time, and pay attention to the social classes that they were a part of. The Helmers would be dressed a little more fancier than the rest because they had more wealth, so an outfit for Nora would be a nice dress, big and frilly, with elbow-length gloves and leather shoes with clasps, and Torvald will be wearing a thick, full suit that has a sort of greenish tinge. I think these costumes will represent their status and the era appropriately, which can enhance the play overall. For the lighting design, I would like to focus on the closing scene. This is when Helmer has his last line and Nora closes the door right after him. For this scene, they had returned from a party, so any light in the scene would be dim, such as a lamplight along with a very soft stage light so as to not overbear the lamplight, while they had their final conversation. This lighting would make the mood somber and coordinate to the late time of night. When Nora is finally leaving and has finished speaking, Helmer has the last line of, the most wonderful thing of all, before Nora slams the door. In this final moment, I would want the stage light to slightly get brighter to show the what if of him possibly understanding what she said, or maybe he still found it unreasonable. Then complete darkness as soon as she slams the door to add to the dramatic effect. From this class, I will be able to have a better understanding of the art of theater and be able to watch a play with a different mindset. Before this course, I didn't know how much went into making a production and the different elements that could change how the audience is affected by the production. I have always enjoyed watching plays and musicals for the enjoyment of watching a performance, and I will be able to appreciate the art in a deeper way. Although I don't plan to go into a career relating to theater, It has allowed me to gain knowledge on a topic that I probably wouldn't have learned elsewhere, and I have a newfound liking for theater now.